Here's your writing resources part two. Um, in terms of writing, I mentioned in part one the idea of internal images and being able to hold an image in active working memory and in short term memory, in particular, when you're copying something that a teacher's written on the board or on a card next to you at your desk that you're copying. So I want to make sure we really dive into this whole idea of images to do with reading and writing anyway, because these internal images that children have the ability to create as they grow up, especially around age 4 and 5, this really kicks in, and you see a lot more imaginary play, imaginary storytelling, a lot of storytelling that now they have the language to describe these internal images. So this is the age where people start accusing children of lying, and they actually are not capable of that. That's pretty intentional, and what they're doing is basically sharing and articulating these images they're carrying around inside of them and trying to make sense of. And it's a very joyful, magical, wonderful time, and I encourage you to embrace it and just write down all their stories because they're so wonderful. And we need to take children seriously, as it says in our reading this week. So I'm giving you an opportunity to really look at this idea of images and play and how those form stories, which require words. And so I'm hoping you'll find these not just helpful in terms of understanding this relationship of internal imagery to writing and reading, but also enjoyable because Linda Berry is really funny. So I hope you enjoy her. She's an amazing cartoonist. If you check out her work online, she's just incredible and has wonderful books to help us all develop this as adults. So her videos are often from studies in her books. So that's all I want to say about Linda Berry. I'll just leave it at that. Just enjoy that and really understand that what I'm trying to help you do is make the connection between this idea that children can now form images mentally and try to make sense of them. And this is where this imagination word comes from. And I also want to introduce you, those of you who've had me before, you know I really love this organization, Woke Kindergarten. Amazing early childhood educators who've put together a whole new way of looking at early childhood and classroom organization and so forth. If you had me in guidance last semester, you'll remember we talked about the classroom as an ecosystem instead of seeing it as a job chart. So one of the things I love about what they offer also is their approach to literacy. They have made these 1 minute poem videos that are just really good, really well done. The art is amazing in them. And then they have these 60-second texts. They have words of the day, and they have some read alouds. So what I want you to notice about these is how these introduce different ways of speaking about children. I love the reverence they have for children and their appreciation for the real world that children live in. And yes, this is very, very focused on, especially one of the poems is addressed to Black children. However, I, of course, and you should too, use it with all children. All children should know all children. We don't have to have a classroom with Black children in it to use this work. That's what I want to emphasize, is that all children deserve to see and understand all of this. If I have a classroom full of white children, I would still use this. In fact, for me as a white woman, I find it to be even more important because I worry and I know about the fact that young white children, older white children too, but young white children really grow up without any kind of lens other than their own um, surroundings. And the truth for our culture is that we as a culture do not enjoy the joy of friendships with people who don't look like us. So this is something that I feel is really important to literacy development and to what kids are hearing about in the classroom. So please just make some notes here about what you see as really important about these and what your thoughts or responses are to them. And again, this one about Dr. King is for all year. I'm hoping, yes, Black History Month and Women's History Month and all the history months, the heritage months, excuse me, are wonderful. We have got to find a way to weave those into the year and make those heritage months kind of like New Year's Eve or any other celebratory day, a celebratory month and something celebrating what we do all year long. So I'm wanting you to start to think about that in terms of literacy, because books and literacy experiences are the way children really understand their world through images and begin to create little cognitive boxes for them.